This week it is America's 250th birthday, so in honor of that, I am going to show you how to paint a 4th of July painting, and this one's got all the nostalgia, the fireworks, the family time, so I'm really excited to take you through this one. I think fireworks are one of the trickiest things to paint with watercolor, and so I hope that this tutorial helps you through it and teaches you some new techniques. So let's go ahead and grab our paintbrushes and get started. Let's go ahead and get started on our sketch, and so you can grab any pencil that you have. I just have this simple mechanical pencil. So I am going to start by lightly sketching out where I want a border. Now for this painting, I want a little bit of a messy edge, and so this is optional. If you would rather paint to the edge of your painting or use painter's tape to have more of a clean edge, you can do that as well. I just think it'd be cute if maybe like the fireworks are extending out a little bit beyond the border, and so that's why I am opting for a messy edge today. And I want most of the painting to consist of sky, and so my ground and tree line is going to be pretty low in the painting. I'm just doing the tree line right about here, and the top of the trees we'll just go a little bit above that. Now with trees, I like to be really messy with them. I don't want it to be straight across. I do want them to look more natural, and so I like to have it go down a little bit and back up. Just make it look like there's trees of different height here. And so we'll do more of the work when we have paint on our brush, but right now I'm just doing a simple sketch of where I think they'll be. I like to also mark out where I might have some tree trunks. Okay, so we have two options. If you want your painting to be more simple, you can leave it here and move on to the painting. But I think it'd be really cute if we have like a little family sitting down here. To me, that is really what 4th of July is all about, is spending time with family, watching the fireworks. And so what I'm gonna do is just do really simple figures. I'm not making this too complicated. So I'm just gonna do a few little lawn chairs. I'm envisioning those red lawn chairs that fold up. And so I'm just doing a simple rectangle, a little bit of a cross at the bottom. Really simple. I'm not making this too detailed. And then I think I'll do 2 of them. So go ahead and do a second one if you want. Again, totally optional if you'd rather keep it more simple. Now, when I did this painting, I had to do it over a few times. So please give yourself grace when you're doing this painting. Fireworks are difficult to paint, and so it might take a few tries. Definitely took me a few tries to do this one. So I'm just doing maybe like a little picnic blanket right in front of the chairs. I'm just doing some of the heads right above the chairs. Now, I used to be so afraid of painting people, but once you just simplify them to shapes, it really makes it a lot easier. And so that's what we're doing here. Just using circles for the head, rectangles for the body. Let your pencil be loose here. And maybe I'll draw a couple of kids sitting on the blanket. I really want this painting to feel like how 4th of July feels and the joy that it brings. Okay, I think that looks good for our sketch, so let's go ahead and grab our paint and get started. We are starting with what I think is the hardest part of the painting, which is, well, also the main part, the fireworks. And what we're gonna do for this is use the wet on wet technique. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start mixing up the colors that I wanna use in the sky, just so they're ready to grab. And so we're starting with like a light orange, and so I have cad red and yellow. I want more of a straight up yellow here, so I'm gonna put that at the bottom. And then I'm gonna mix up more red here, maybe with some purple. We have a brighter red ready to go. And then lastly, I'm gonna mix up our darker sky part. So I have Payne's Gray with Windsor Blue to have this more earthy blue. I don't want it to be too blue, if you know what I mean. Okay, now go ahead and rinse off your brush. And so I'm just swirling my brush in water, and I want to get a nice clean brush to swipe on the water, and we are using the wet on wet technique to get a nice blend for the first layer in our fireworks. I think where I kept getting caught up is like I would give up after adding the first layer, and so just keep going in this painting. It will turn out if you keep going. We're grabbing our yellow color here. I want to make sure I have a little bit of red. And I am going to start with our fireworks. So we're going to have two major blooms of fireworks here. And I am just kind of going in like a star motion of, I want to keep some areas light. And I'm just going quick and loose with my brush. I'm using the wider part to get more paint on my page. So it helps to start off with this light color so that we can slowly start adding in our reds and oranges. Now I want to keep the middle part pretty light. So I'm just using the tip of my brush to continuously swipe down and swipe up. There's really no precise way to go about this. I think it helps to just practice the motion. And if you want to practice it on like a scrap piece of paper, I had to do that a lot just to kind of help get down the motion. Go ahead and do that if maybe this is your first time painting fireworks. I'm going to go ahead and add in some purple here. Now you can do your fireworks whatever color. If you want, you know, more blues in here, go ahead and do that. Now, while the paint is wet, I am going to go ahead and start swiping in my darker sky color. And I'm starting here at the top, and we're just going to start letting it blend into our sky. I want to make sure that I'm keeping some areas lighter than others, and so I'm just taking the tip of my brush and we are going to just swipe downwards into our fireworks. And so we're just taking advantage of the wet paint, making sure it's blending together. Also want to extend this yellow color downwards. I'm just adding in some reds in here as well. Kind of helps to keep the sky warm towards the bottom and then cooler towards the top. And then I'm just continuing to add in some more blues here throughout the fireworks. It helps to alternate using the tip of your brush to the wider part, just to have different kinds of brush strokes in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and layer on some more dark blue towards the top. Just going to mix in more of that night sky. I think it just helps the fireworks stand out a little bit more when you have that contrast. And then I want to go ahead and add that here on the sides. And I'm just using that consistent motion of swiping down and around. We want to make sure that we just keep some areas highlighted. I think the important part of this painting is just to have fun with it. there is so much to be thankful for around this time. Thankful that we have freedoms, and doing this painting is just such a good way to keep that reminder. And I think this is a cool painting that you can even have hung up year round. I don't think it has to be just a 4th of July painting that you only have hung up during the 4th of July. As you can see, I'm just adding some more reds and yellows into the bottom part of the sky. I just want it to look like it's lit up and it's warm with light, because that's where the fireworks are coming up, is from the bottom. And so that's why I'm adding more of those warm colors in there. Okay, I'm going to move on to the tree line. We are not done with the fireworks yet. I am just giving those a rest to completely dry before I go in with more colors. But let's go ahead and mix up a really dark green color. And I am just using sap green with Payne's gray. I want this to be pretty dark. And I'm gonna go ahead and just take this color and swipe it all over the bottom area here where I want my tree line. And I'm just being really loose with the tops here. I want it to look like there are leaves sticking out, and so you don't want it to be a straight line. I love doing tree lines because you can really let loose with your brush. And every tree line you paint is going to be different, because when you're being really loose with your brush, it's kind of automatically making those leaves wherever the brush goes. And then when you add in these darker colors here at the bottom, it really gives the tree line some dimension. And so I am just adding more Payne's gray here to darken some areas, make it look like some shadows are in there. Now I am going to take some red and yellow here and start swiping that in the grass area. Now you may be wondering, why are we putting red and orange here in the grass? And I want it to look like the light is kind of reflecting off of the grass. And so I'm just swiping over the entire area, even the people. We want them to actually have an orange tint to them, to look like they're glowing a little bit, and then we'll put the shadows on the back of them. I want my tree line to kind of blend into the bottom a little bit, so it's not such a harsh line. So that's kind of why I did this pretty quickly after painting the tree line. I wanted to have that nice blend with it. So now let's go ahead and start slowly adding in some green in here. So I am taking my sap green with more of that red mixture, and we're just gonna slowly add that here at the bottom. And I'm just using some upward swipes kind of to look naturally like there's grass here. And I'm just taking a lighter green towards the top. I want the grass to still have that glow to it, and so I want to keep it lighter at the top. I am avoiding the chairs a little bit. We will go address that in a second. I just want to make sure that we've got the nice lighting on this grass first before we paint in the figures. So you don't have to go completely around your figures. I'm painting over like their heads and stuff. I just wanted to leave the chairs and blanket kind of undone because now I'm going in with a red, and so I just want to have this red pretty bright, and this is the red lawn chair that I was talking about. I wanted to just have that nice red look to it. I think I might make the blanket more blue to go with maybe a red, white, and blue theme. So you can make it whatever color you want. Just gonna take this blue and go lightly under the chairs. And it's okay if it's blending in with the grass. I actually want it to blend in a bit. So go ahead and just keep working while the paint is wet. Now I'm taking a yellow and an orange, and I'm just going to paint over the figures with this color before going in with their shadows. I just want it to look like there is a subtle glow on them before we put on the darker colors. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite 4th of July memory is. I've always loved watching fireworks. I think they're so beautiful, but I always love doing a grill out on 4th of July. Food is usually my favorite part of it. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit more dimension to the grass here. So just taking a darker color and taking the tip of my brush to swipe upwards every now and then. Just want to have texture in here, make sure it's looking like grass. Okay, we will revisit the figures and the chairs once they dry a little bit more. Let's go back to the fireworks. So I'm just gonna add in some more vibrant colors here. And so I'm just taking red and purple. Again, you can use whatever colors that you want. I just want some nice bright colors here. So I'm just gonna take a few colors and I am gonna just start swiping upwards. And I'm just putting in a few of these lines that just go out to add some color into our fireworks. And I am using a bit of a dry brush technique, and so my brush is pretty dry. If you need to, you can wipe it on a paper towel. I am taking straight up paint with very little water, and I am just swiping outwards. I don't want it to be too smooth of a line, and so that's why I want it to be dry. As you can see, it's kind of got a different texture to it when you use a dry brush. And then I'm going to do the same thing with like a blue-purple color. Just going to swipe upwards a bit and down. I wanted to have a different color than the red to kind of just contrast a little bit here. And I don't want the lines to be too perfect. And so that's why I'm being a little picky of where the brush goes. And then I'm going to take a yellow, so go ahead and mix up your yellow and do the same thing. I'm just wanting to add a few more colors. I'm making sure to extend a little bit outside of my border. Like I said, I kind of wanted to have that messy edge here. Okay, let's go ahead and revisit our blanket and people. So I wanted to define the blanket a little bit more. So I'm taking a straight up Windsor blue, just going right underneath the blanket. Again, kind of using a bit of that dry brush technique. Just wanted to be able to see where the blanket is a bit more. And then for the chairs, just taking my red and maybe a little bit of blue in here as well, maybe a bit of Payne's gray, and I'm just going to swipe around it, maybe to just define the area a little bit more. And then for the people, we just want to make sure that we've got some dark colors to go right on the edge. They're going to be pretty dark because it's nighttime and there's shadows. So I'm using a dark red and blue to just really go over most of them. I do want to leave a bit of a highlight where you can see a little bit of the front of them, just to make it look like the light is just lighting up the front of them a bit. Now I'm taking my really thin brush and I am going to do the legs of the chairs. I'm just grabbing my Payne's gray and I'm just going to draw in the chair legs. So really simple, just have them go straight down, and then I'll make a little cross underneath them. Make it look like those fold up lawn chairs. I feel like this painting is just giving me all the feels of 4th of July. So hope that's getting you in the mood for this holiday. And last but not least, don't forget to sign your painting. So I like to sign my paintings in a cad red. So I'm just going to use my thin brush for this. You can use a pen if you find that easier. I just like to use paint when I can. Just going to lightly sign my name here at the bottom. And we are all done. I think this painting turned out super cute. My favorite part about it, I think, is this little family. I think it really just brought some life into this painting. So I'm going to go look for a frame to put this up in my own house. This was a tricky one, but we got through it, and I hope you walk away with some new skills and techniques. So let me know in the comments what else you want to learn how to paint. I am always making new tutorials, and I love when you join me to paint together. So if you want to connect on social media, you can find me at Emily Winslow Art on all platforms. And of course, I'd love if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. And until we paint again next time.